Welcome to Kingdom Business Network. This morning we have a very exciting topic that we want to discuss. We want to discuss on how to earn through social media. KBN is a TV program which is aired on Faith Today TV. It's also aired on Facebook and YouTube. So in case you're watching us on YouTube, kindly subscribe, like and share. We're here to give you tips on how you can start your own business. And also for those people who are in business, we want to give you tips on how to run your business and to overcome the challenges that are there. That's why we bring you some very well experienced business people who will help you in running your business, and they'll give you some ideas because they've gone through it and there's something that you can learn from them. Please interact with us on the numbers provided on the screen. We'll take some few questions, so kindly just feel free to SMS or write us on WhatsApp on the numbers that are provided. With me today is a very interesting couple. They are very successful in the area of YouTube. And on my immediate right, I have Joan and Ben. Welcome, Joan and Ben.
Thank you so much for having us. We are so happy to be here. And I think this is an interesting conversation that needs to be had more and more, especially in the spaces of faith. And this is a good thing. And thank you for having me on Faith TV today.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here, to learn and also to share the knowledge that we've acquired.
Welcome very much, Ben and Joan. On my immediate left is Enoch. Enoch, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm very excited to have the Cycos right here. You can tell my smiles. I really powered up. I believe your life is not going to remain the same. These are podcast award winners. My God, it's very exciting. No young person should really miss this discussion today. And those of you who are really into digital marketing, these are experts in the field. So if you change your dial, you lose. Don't lose this.
Yeah, don't do it.
Thank you very much, Enoch.
Yeah.
Let me come back to ladies first.
Okay.
Please. Let me go to Joan.
Sure.
Joan, tell us about yourself and how you got into social media.
Okay, so I think I was in uni. I was in my last year of university. I think that was about 2015, about 9 years ago. I was trying to find my footing in after school. What do I want to do? What career do I want to pursue? And then that's when my friends and I stumbled on this thing called YouTube. I know we'd been following different YouTubers. They're called YouTubers across the world. And it hadn't really picked up here in Kenya. So we were like, maybe this is something we can explore. And that's how I stumbled on it, really. It was by fluke and by exploration.
Do you regret?
No. It's been exciting. I mean, so many learning curves. I'm trying to chart the path in a place where it's not really known, especially on the business and how to monetize it, the business side of it. But all in all, it's been really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Currently, around how many subscribers do you have?
So we run a podcast together, and that's about 69K subscribers.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we're at.
That's such a huge subscriber base.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. God has been good.
Ben, how has been your journey?
Yes.
Ben, how did you get yourself into this space?
So for me, it was it's like I just found myself here. But before I started off as a musician, started singing immediately after high school. That's like I left high school in 2010. You know, nowadays when I go to speak in universities, when I tell them I left high school in 2010, I look so old, you know, because some of them left high school in 2018, you know. So I left high school in 2010, started singing in 2011. But later on, when we started going out with John, she started considering the idea of creating content on YouTube for herself, and I thought that was a pretty good idea. So I was already on YouTube as a musician, but I had never considered being on YouTube as a creator. So I started joining her videos where we would do funny things and people would just love them completely. So when we got married in 2021, we decided to start a show together. Instead of having a joint YouTube channel, we decided maybe we have more to offer the people, and our biggest strong point was speaking. So we decided maybe we can start something called a podcast. So we started the Joyride podcast, which now has around 70,000 subscribers. Now, Wanjiru, she didn't tell you, she, on her personal page, she has 50,000 subscribers. On my personal page, I have 50,000 subscribers. And then we also have followers on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And that's where our journey of podcasting together started. But before that, I had my own individual podcast. It was called the Cyco podcast, which I started in 2020 during COVID. So during COVID, I was working at a radio station. I just quit and I decided maybe it's time for me to start my own. And it was just a strong conviction from God, you know. And I guess I didn't know that kumbe in the atmosphere, there was this shift that was happening in the digital space. So meaning I just quit the work because I felt like I'm not fulfilling my purpose here. So when I started doing the show, just by talking to people about what they're going through, sharing my personal journey, that is what gave birth to this whole podcast thing. Now we became some of the first people to do podcasting in this country and to actually do it as a full-time career.
Okay.
Yeah,
so might be somebody is there asking what's a podcast as opposed to what is YouTube.
A podcast. Now where do you start? So a podcast is like, what's a podcast?
It's new age. I would define it as new age radio.
Okay.
So think about your traditional radio station, but now the power goes back to you who's creating. So it's an audio-visual kind of outlet.
Okay.
You could choose for it. It's predominantly audio, but over time people have incorporated it to be audio-visual because of the way YouTube has spread and its distribution kwa mashinani. So it becomes an audio-visual platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're present on how many social media platforms? You said YouTube?
Across, because I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. And all of them have a huge following. TikTok, I'm on Spotify as a musician and as a podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm on all streaming platforms that you can know of that are audio, and that is Apple Podcast as well, and YouTube as well.
Okay. Before we go and delve into YouTube, maybe you can explain to people why are you present in all these social media platforms? What is the importance? What are the synergies? Which ones came first? Which ones are most profitable? Which one, you know, so that then we then come to YouTube.
I think the distribution on different platforms, it's really about meeting the consumer at the point where they are. There are people who prefer Facebook, there are people who prefer Instagram, there are people who prefer TikTok, there are people who prefer YouTube, Spotify. So it's really just, you want your content to get to as many people as possible. So that's why we distribute across several platforms. In terms of profitability, it really depends. I know there are some people who are, it really depends on where you put your efforts to. For us, YouTube, Spotify, of course, because of the podcast, and then Instagram are our biggest earners. But I know friends of the industry who TikTok becomes a big earner, Facebook. So it's really where you put your efforts to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody is launching into social media today, a young person, and we in this channel we talk to a lot of young people. From your experience, where would you advise them to start? Is it TikTok? Because I tend to think that's what is resonating with the young people today. Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube?
This whole thing of social media really first of all, it stems from what you feel God is calling you to do, or what God is calling you to say. I don't think you waking up and saying you want to start making money, so you open a YouTube account, that would be that's the final thing that you need to do, because these are just mediums of getting to the people, you know. So it's like saying you want to start a newspaper company and you are not a writer, and even if you're a writer, you must write about whatever people want to read about, you know. So it starts from there first of all, such that now you feel like whatever you have, you want to share it with the world. Now based on that, you can go ahead and look at various platforms. So for example, Instagram has also spread across the country, but it's mostly for the urban centers. So you'll find it mostly in the big cities, the Eldorets, the Kisumu, Mombasa. TikTok, on the other hand, has become very interesting because TikTok has everybody. So TikTok goes all the way to mashinani. Like you would be watching a random TikTok of somebody who's in Garissa, and you're actually enjoying what they're doing, you know. So TikTok is a very interesting place. with very interesting sides. I was explaining this to my pastor yesterday. He was laughing because on TikTok you will find somebody who's preaching. You will also find a mortician. Do you know who a mortician is? The people who work at the morgues.
And what are they doing on TikTok?
They're showing you what they do. They're showing you the process of preparing a body. And it's, it's until you watch it, you're like, okay, maybe this is something maybe you learn about. And they're very famous. The other day we had the death of one of the big TikTokers on TikTok, and his burial was yesterday, but it was yesterday. It was on Tuesday. And that burial had, I'd say, 3,000 people who are total strangers, they don't know each other. And you can look at it in different dimensions and just say that this is, because such burials were mostly left out for politicians, but this is just a random person who was just on TikTok. Then that means his influence had permeated into all the places around there. So it really boils down to what you want to communicate to the people, and then now as a result, now you can choose the specific platform. Facebook is also known to be for the older audiences. It doesn't mean it's not important. It's really, really important, and it has its audience as well. Twitter or X, nowadays it's called X. X is mostly information led. It's if you are very good at writing and sharing information and all that. It's very also a bit intellectual, but also it has a lot of madness as well. All these social media platforms have a dark side to them that now maybe we'll talk later on about how to balance all that. But now it's for you to decide based on what you want to share with the world.
So maybe you can help somebody by telling us, how did you discover what you want to put on this social media? How did you discover your calling on the message that you want to disseminate?
It starts with a burning sensation to do something. So for example, with me, I like outfits, I like clothes. So that it drew me closer to Instagram, because Instagram is more for clothes, good looking and all that stuff. I also like a lot of information. I like knowing what's happening with the world. Me, I'm the kinds of people, I get to the house, I want to watch the news. I'm like an old man. I want to understand what is happening in the whole place. So that's why I'm also closely drawn to Twitter. So why I chose Instagram, for example, is based on what I wanted to communicate, and that was more fashion. Music is also very big on Instagram, and then just communicating to people through videos. Now is when I'm starting to grow my TikTok and to become more intentional with my TikTok as well.
What about Wanjiru?
I think same thing as Ben. It's just, and we keep saying this, that for you to thrive in any social media platform, whatever you choose to speak on should be something that's like second nature to you, so that you don't have to fake it, you don't have to force yourself to do it. So just like Ben, the things that I like, I started just to communicate about them, talk about them, and with that you find like-minded people who become now your community or your followers, so to speak. So
basically from what I'm reading from this is that so long as it's something that you like and you're passionate about, however niche or however small or whatever it is, you still get a following. Yeah,
you'll find your tribe.
So don't try to do something that is somebody else's domain, simply because it seems to be popular or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Don't do that, because where the world is going, it's gonna be more community centric. So you just need to find your own community. The same way you didn't know about the burial of the TikToker. There are people who are so hell bent about it, but that is just their community. You can have your own community. You can have your own Christian people. So it's just. And what we normally talk about is you don't necessarily need to focus on the big numbers. You want to get 100,000s or the millions. Those are very good and beautiful, but it's also how vibrant your community is. You can just have a community of 500, but when you say we go for an event here, they will all show up. When you say you're selling something, they will all buy. So it's about focusing on your specific community and seeing how you can grow it further and add more value to that community.
Enoch, what do you read into all this?
Well, thank you so much. I am really, I am following, you can see. I am enjoying the conversation and learning so much, because when you look at the era we are in, Kenya has gotten this opportunity that you get very many people who are the majors in the industry. For example, Meta was here the other day.
Yes.
And you know, they are giving you the chance to monetize people to monetize their accounts and things like that. And you wonder, someone who is just seated there is thinking, for example, when I look at the Cycos, they have these big numbers, and there are people who want the numbers. So I am wondering, how is it easy? Like, you've talked about, yes, the community is very important.
Yes.
For example, Kingdom Business Network, we are looking at people in business. That is our community. So I want you maybe to show us more on how you don't have the numbers, nobody knows you. Is there something you can do with the way you write, you send your message, the way you put out your information? Because there are people who are not known, but when you look at the way the machine works, the algorithms and AI, you could have a high end if you know how to maybe, I don't know, do you guys use those? Because you have the numbers, but I'm wondering, for someone who does not have numbers, nobody knows you, can you do something extra and then maybe capture their attention and grow, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for growing organically. I know there are ways you can play around with the algorithms, and you can sort of like play around with the apps, different apps, because I know like ads work really well to get your word out there. But why I'm saying I'm a big advocate for organic is because at the end of the day, the person behind the other screen is also a human being just like you. They're looking for a point of connection. So if you have your content wrong from the jump, no amount of sponsoring ads, no amount of whatever you do to play around the algorithm is going to help. You have to create something that the other person on the other side of the screen will feel either an emotional connection to, they'll feel whatever you are feeling or you're trying to communicate. So, and that's how we've grown so far. We try to find conversations that people we know at the end of the screen, because at the end of the day, as human beings, we're just trying to connect with each other. We're just trying to relate to each other's stories, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah. You can do that, but also consistency is a very key thing. So if you consistently drop a specific episode at a specific time, that is number one, because you see the videos online are controlled by something called algorithm. So algorithm is what decides which tweets you see, which videos come up on your Facebook. It's computerized, you know. So the algorithm also needs to pick up your consistency level at a specific time. That's number one. But also number two is you also go to the back end and you look at the content you have dropped. What's the age group of the people who are watching your content? What's the location of where they're found? For example, we noticed that with our podcast, we were getting a lot of viewership from Uganda. So that meant when we were doing the show, we need to tone down on Swahili because some people are not understanding some things that we are saying. When we started, we thought we were speaking to Nairobians. Then now it's gone to people in Mombasa and all across the country. So when you look at the numbers and they're telling you you're getting listenership from Uganda, it means you need to tone down on Swahili and have more English so that you can communicate with them better. Because you see, when you're approaching the digital space, you need to stop approaching it from a limited mindset where you're just looking at Nairobi and know that this is a global machine that you could easily even blow up in Russia, and now you'll be confused. So when you go to the back end, you look at your videos and say, this video had the most views. Why did it have more views? Why was the audience particularly interested in this video? Then what you did there, you can start replicating it more and more and more and more. Because they say numbers do not lie. And it's very good now on a business scale, you look at those numbers and they will direct you somewhere. Yeah.
Now, before we go ahead, there's somebody out there who is thinking of getting started.
Yes.
Walk us through the process of getting started. You have an idea. Might be figured out you want fashion or you want whatever it is. How does somebody get started? The equipment, the setting up. Do you need to hire a cameraman? You know, all those stories.
Yeah.
Getting started.
Why are you looking at me?
How did you start?
You start with what you have.
Yeah.
This is a Christian TV, so I'll say it's what God is asking. What do you have in your hand? And that is what God uses to perform the miracles. When I started doing the podcast, I used to use my phone. I used to record everything on my phone, and I would record the sound there and everything. And sometimes it would be good, sometimes it will just be horrible. You know, people are just complaining in the comment section. But that is what growth is about, you know. You can't sit down and wait for everything to be perfect, because then that means you keep postponing, and you might even miss the season, because we could have easily missed that season, that shift into this podcasting era. So I think you start with whatever you have. Nowadays, a lot of phones have some okay camera quality. An average phone can shoot a video where at least we can tell this is you, you know. Then maybe with time you can go upgrading your phone. So now you get to a point where for you to buy an expensive phone, you're not buying it for luxury or to show off. It's a business investment for you. So I'd say that's you start with whatever equipment you have. Later on now you can get the lights, you can now even hire, because we now have editors, we have people who shoot, so we don't take care of that at all. But when we started, Wanjiru knows how to edit. She would shoot and edit, or I would shoot and give her and try and convince her to edit for me and all that stuff. So you start with what you have. Nowadays you can even use applications on your phone like CapCut. CapCut is the one that's provided by TikTok. You just download it. It will help you edit all these videos very smoothly.
Yeah, I think same thing as Ben. You start with what you have. We started with our phones, and gradually we've gone increasing. The more money you make, you're able to buy a camera, you're able to outsource the service, maybe, as Ben has said, to a videographer or an editor. So it's literally, because the point is to get your content out there and also to be consistent. So you start with what you have.
So does it mean that even when you're using the camera, you still were growing numbers of subscribers? How was it easy? Was it?
The number of subscribers is directly related to their kind of content. So quality, yes, is a good thing, and quality is a huge plus, but it's mostly about what you're talking about.
It's a quality.
Because people will, if whatever you're talking about is interesting to somebody, if no matter how bad your video is, they will just watch it. They will just find a way to watch it. So the quality becomes secondary.
Okay.
That's why I'm I'm insisting on, you have to get the content right first. You have to, that's why the best content is the most authentic content. So it has to be something that you could do naturally. You're not forcing, you're not struggling to fit in that space.
Okay. That's interesting. So that means anybody can get started with whatever you have. The phone, once you have a phone, you're set. The next thing you need is just those downloadable softwares. And then you get started.
Yes, exactly.
And there you go. Now, this is very interesting because here you've gotten started, and I believe you started from that level, and you started to grow. How is the journey of growth, and what are the milestones that you went through? Where did you, let's say, now start to see this thing is working?
I think it started to make sense once we started our podcast. At that point, because we, as Ben had mentioned earlier on, we were doing content individually, but also we used to collaborate once or twice on each other's platforms, on his podcast, on my channel. But then when we got married and we decided to start this platform together, we really wanted to put our money where our mouth is. So we took our savings and we said we're going to hire a producer. We really didn't want to get caught up in the same rat race that we had been caught up in when we were starting out. We really wanted to show that there's been growth. There has been this journey imefika hapa, na sasa it's time to progress to the next level. So we decided, let's onboard a third person. His name is Barak. He's part of the podcast, the Joyride podcast. And then now we decided let's also hire professionals for that. So editors, videographers, people who can really churn out the kind of content that we're doing. It wasn't enough to rely on our brains. We needed other perspectives. And that's now we started to see that the audience is appreciating it more and more and more. And I think that's when now our journey really took off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always hear that, or rather let me say, I've heard some YouTubers say that there's that one video that you did and blew. Yeah? Which one was it, and what was it about, and when was that?
For us,
I don't know if you've had one.
I think it's the one when before we were married. It's the ones where I would go on her channel and she would challenge me to style her. There was the styling one. There was one where she challenged me to do makeup to see if I know how to do makeup.
You actually did makeup on
Yes, it was horrible.
How was it? people must have been laughing the whole throughout the show.
It was horrible. And then there was one where we were doing accent challenges. She was challenging me to do different accents. So those are some of the videos that really blew up. So now when we started the Joyride together, I think now Joyride did not have a specific hit video. But of course the ones we've done with big personalities like Abel Mutua, the one you did with Nameless and Wahoo, Jugush, those ones also, those ones are very big. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you've had any. As Ben has said, I think even those videos, more than being a hit, they introduced the audience to us, but then we've had to prove ourselves more and more and more with the kind of content that we do. So I don't know if there's a specific video we can speak about. I think we have proven ourselves over and over with the kind of content in every video.
Okay. So coming from 1 subscriber to 1,000 subscriber.
Yeah.
How is that journey?
It was interesting because growing subscribers on YouTube is the hardest thing you can do. Actually, it's easier to get followers, it's easier to get likes, but growing subscribers, that's where the challenge is. So when we hit the 10,000 mark, because we hit 10,000 subscribers in 3 days. I remember. You remember?
3 days, 10,000. From what to what?
From zero.
From 0 to 10,000.
10,000
in 3 days.
Yes, and that was such a big milestone for us. And it's just been, now with the consistency, continuous growth over and over, the subscribers keep growing, you keep now learning. But you see, it's not easy because you also get hate. The more your content grows, the more people it reaches out to now. Now, the more people you are annoying, and the more people you're making happy. So in as much as this social media thing looks like it's the most glamorous thing, it's also one of the hardest things. And it could drive you crazy if you don't know how to handle it, because now you will start getting attacks from different people, so you have to stay grounded. So the numbers just keep growing. We are now looking to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year.
You see, I hear people say that in media, maybe you can correct me, even bad news is very good news to the person concerned, because like your haters, they'll actually propel you to the next level, because they're talking about you. Basically, it's about people talking about you, whether good or bad, people are talking about you. So if somebody says something nasty about you, somebody else will go and check you out and find out, kumbe, this guy is not what we thought. In the process, you have a new subscriber, isn't it? So what did you do this, Enoch, before we take a break?
Sure, thank you so much. I love that conversation. And when you talked about the negative side, having these haters in marketing, now that is publicity. Someone hates on you, he doesn't know that he's really, publicizing you. So what I'm learning from you, the Cycos, is that you guys have been, deliberate at whatever strike you make. There are 3 principles I always look for: being deliberate, being intentional. Even when you had these people who are trying to sway you away, you are really focused, and then you are purposeful. The consistency. I think this is something that I've not had in a long time. From 0 to 10K, that is amazing. In 3 days, that is really amazing. But I know the journey. We always encourage entrepreneurs here that it is all about the journey. My mentor, Bishop Peter, always says, small things grow. Small things grow. Some may take maybe days, weeks, years, or whatever, but the purpose is, the principle is, it grows. As long as you said, you talked about content, you talked about the communication channels, making sure that you are always giving people what they want to know, to hear, and things like that. And then the organic comes in later, the organic growth and things like that. So at least, the doctor, I am really encouraged. I feel, I don't know if we have any questions from the young people, but I'm getting there. I'm really getting there.
Before we take a break, tell us about the consistency. Do you post your videos once a week, or what do you mean by consistency? Because somebody is out there is wondering, what is this consistency business? Is it once a year, once a month? That's consistent also.
Consistency is basically what you can handle. There are people who even do videos every day. There are people who do 1 video a week. There was a time as Joyride we were doing 2 videos a week. Right now we are almost going back to that season where we are doing 2 videos a week as well. But consistency is the real test of if you really have the grit to do this. Because you see, social media or this content space looks nice, but there are days where you will not feel like shooting. Or there are days where you feel you're low, or there are days where something has happened, but people still need to have that content going on. So you need to come up with a schedule for yourself. You don't have to go with what people are doing. You set up with something that you can handle. You maintain it like that, and with time it grows. That's what consistency is.
Does it also involve, let's say, posting a particular day, a particular time?
Yes,
Yes.
The
that's
week.
exactly
That's part of it.
That's what.
So that your audience is anticipating that,
Yeah.
let's say, come Tuesday at 10,
Yeah.
so and so is going to post.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's
So what happens when you don't post? Do you put an old video or?
Yeah, if you don't post, you will deal with their rage. They will come for you. They will send you DMs. They will tweet. They will say, and you might also now start losing the numbers. You will start noticing the numbers go down. So consistency is the key.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So we're going to take a short break, and then after we take the short break, you're going to take us through some of the challenges that you went through when you're getting started up to where you are. So viewer, stay tuned. This is going to be very interesting, how to earn through social media. Stay tuned.
Season is here with us again. It's Easter season, a very important season that we celebrate the death, not only the death, but the resurrection of our Savior, Jesus Christ. If there is an important season for all of us, for everyone in the world, it is this season called Easter. Good Friday, and all the way to Sunday, the first day, the resurrection day, Jesus came from the dead. He conquered death, and he is alive forevermore. Well, I want to invite you to a very special service, the Good Friday. Friday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're going to have a great service as we come to remember how Jesus went to the cross and he conquered death. And then on Sunday we have a very special moment. We call it sunrise service. We come to church 6 a.m. in the morning, and we are here for breakfast, and then we have our service from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So I want to invite you again during this Easter weekend. Come join us. Let's come and celebrate. Jesus is alive, and he is alive forevermore. Good Friday, 4 p.m. Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, sunrise service, 6 a.m., breakfast, 9 o'clock, Easter Sunday. God bless you. See you there at the House of Faith, Vicar Road, opposite Garden City Mall, at the Blessed House. Love you, and happy Easter. Mountain Moving Faith. This is my latest book. And if you want to learn how you can move mountains, life has many mountains. While this journey, you will encounter mountains and you wonder, how can I move mountains? This is a book to read. And it took me time to research, to pray, and to wait on God and look at the scriptures and what Jesus talked about moving mountains. And this book is quite a story, it's quite an inspiration. It is quite something that will change your life. So order your copy today. We can send it to you wherever you are in this country. We will be able to send this book to you on Mountain Moving Faith. Call that number or send a message, and our team will be able to ship it to you wherever you are. There's a book to read. You can also buy for your friend, for a family as a gift, and I have no doubt they will thank you, and that they will be always thankful for what you have done for them. So God bless you as you read this book, Mountain Moving Faith. I'm so excited about my new book, My Times and Seasons. Well, this is a very impactful book that I wrote, and it took me several years just to come up with this book. And basically it's about my personal story, from bringing up, growing up, career, business, family, misfortunes, challenges, losses, recovery, restoration. I mean, so much that I have been able to cover in this book. And I want to encourage you to get a copy. You can call that number, you can send a message, and even if you're not in Nairobi, we can ship it to you, and we can send it to you wherever you are. And I have no doubt this book is a life change. I wrote a book, a powerful book, that is 7 Keys to Success. All of us want to succeed. Nobody here wants to fail. I have no doubt you have a deep-seated desire how to succeed, but you wonder how. There are principles in this book. I call them keys. There are 7 of them that I have elaborated, that I have discussed in this book, and I have no doubt when you read this book, well, you will succeed. Many people have read it, and they have come. The other day I met somebody who told me, well, I read your 7 keys to success, and I have been teaching from that book. Actually, she's a pastor, and she told me, well, I actually bought several, I have given to my leaders, to my people. You can use it also for teaching and even blessing other people in your family, church, and friends, even your place of work. 7 keys to success. I have no doubt when you read this book, you will succeed. Failure is not your place to be. You can be successful by reading 7 keys to success. Call that number, send a message, and we will respond to you and send you a copy of this book. God bless you, and see you soon.
Faith Today TV is here to make your brand outstanding. Worry not on where to advertise your business or your product. Call us on 0114 777 000 or email us on info@faithtodaytv.co.ke.
Welcome back, our dear viewer. We're excited to be back after the short break. We are discussing about how to earn through social media. We are with Joan and Ben, and also Enoch. And in case you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Before we took a break, we were discussing about challenges. We want to go to challenges, but before we do that, I have a few people who have written to us, and I would encourage each one of you, please write to us. Engage us on those numbers provided. You can SMS, you can actually write a WhatsApp, text, and we'll take your questions. So the first one is from a lady known as Ruth. Ruth is saying, we are getting you loud and clear. I'm Ruth. Which social media is best for making money?
Which social media platform is best for making money?
Yes.
Different platforms make money differently.
Yeah.
TikTok makes money through advertisements. You get paid by companies to advertise. But then also TikTok has a tipping, has a way where the people can send you money directly. So that's TikTok. Instagram is mostly through advertisements from companies and even small businesses.
But now you'll be able to earn, but now you'll be able to earn from subscription and directly from Instagram. Yeah, with the new directive.
Facebook as well. YouTube pays you, but then you also have to have hit, I think, is it 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers? YouTube.
1,000.
1,000 subscribers.
It's actually watch time that you should hit.
Yes, based on how long people watch you. So they all earn differently and different metrics as well.
Let me join that question from Ruth with how do you monetize a YouTube channel? Might be take us through the process. I've started a channel. When will I start making money? How will I start making money? How do I get paid? How do I know it is time to make the money?
So YouTube allows you to make, as Ben had mentioned, for you to make money after you've hit a certain watch time. So that means your videos have been watched for a combined amount of time. So that means you could be able to set up all your accounts and monetize directly from YouTube. We will be honest and say that they're not the best rates. It's not money that you can live off. So YouTube essentially then now becomes a platform where you can get your content out there. Then now in Kenya especially, I know in different countries, in different spheres of the world, YouTube is a big earner, depending on how much advertisers are willing to put. So it becomes a platform that other brands now can spot you once your numbers have grown to a certain level, and then you'll be able now to advertise. And that's where now you can make really good money. So when you're starting out a YouTube channel, please monetize. The money goes a long way, especially if you're able to accumulate a good amount of views. But also focus on getting your word out there and creating content that people can relate with so that organizations can spot you and pay you.
Does monetizing then mean that you allow ads to be placed in your content or what?
Yes, that can be part of it, where now you based on your content, let's say you talk about cars, and now a lot of people have loved what you do. So you'll find a lot of car ads would want to come and advertise with you, just the same way they would do on TV or radio. Now they see you as part of that. So it becomes a platform where you can also advertise to the people.
I also see some people with some programs on YouTube, and they actually have got advertisers who I think they have done that directly. That means, assuming you're talking about cars, then you have somebody who sells cars, and he's the first person you feature. I think that's a private arrangement. Is that allowed by YouTube?
Yes, that's allowed. You can earn through that. That's actually a way a lot of people make a lot of money from that. But then also YouTube pays you itself.
Yes.
Yeah, but then you need to have a certain number of, you need to have over 1,000 subscribers, and people need to be watching your content. Not, you see, YouTube will also calculate, like if somebody watches your content for 2 minutes and then they drop off, then your money becomes less. But if you put out a video on YouTube where people are watching the full video, then that means you get more money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's why I started by saying content is king. If what you're putting out is interesting for people to watch, then they will watch the whole video. The longer they watch, the more money you make.
Content is king. We'll come to content creation shortly. The second question here is from Jonah. Jonah, we are hearing you. How much time is needed in one's day to earn on social media? And number two, how much time should I commit? This is from Jonah.
Wow, that's hard.
I think if, like for us, it becomes a full-time job. So the same way you'd clock into an office 8 to 5, it's the same way we clock into 8 to 5. Now, over time, because the nature of our business has grown in the media space, you find sometimes you're focusing on the back end of things. That means the administrative tasks. But it becomes like an 8 to 5 for us. Like you clock in the morning, because we have a studio, so that becomes like our office. So you clock in there in the morning, the entire day, you're figuring out everything about your content.
So let me tie Jonah's question with this question. How is your ideal day like? Take us through the content creation journey from idea generation to the time you actually upload a video on YouTube.
You want to go?
Yeah. So for us, now especially like the videos that we do on Joyride, because we work on them, I'll take you through a typical maybe shooting day. We have already at the beginning, because we schedule our content in seasons. So, and a season has 10 episodes, so 10 YouTube videos. So you would, at the beginning of that season, you would plan every video. So this video 1 will talk about this, video 2, video 3. So that comes beginning of the season. Then on the actual day of shooting, probably would clock into the studio, say 8 a.m. We probably shoot maybe 2 or 3 episodes a day. And then now, because we have already generated the idea before, we have a producer now, because the structure of our content is question-led. So the producer is the one who comes up with the question. So each episode to shoot would maybe take an hour and a half, depending on how the conversation flows, maybe to 2 hours. So you're able to do, you do 2 hours, you take a break, you recharge, you refresh, you change, you go into episode 2. Like that till the end of the day.
So you can do 3 episodes in one day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're shooting from the same location?
Yes, yes. We have a studio, so that's where we're able to shoot our content. And then now the editor takes it up from there. He's able to edit it, and then gives us, maybe, if our upload days are usually Thursday, so by Tuesday the video is up. We're able to make the first cut, we're able to watch it, see if there's anything we are not comfortable with, or anything we would like changed or added, and then now by Thursday it's ready for
So
upload.
which softwares do you use currently now?
For editing?
Yeah.
Software we use.
Which one are the best? Does it have to be?
To be honest, I don't know.
'Cause we
There's
outsource.
somebody who does the editing. So, and that's because we've grown. This is like our 3rd year.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to a place where we've delegated some roles to some people. So I hardly ever follow up on all that. My work is to show up and do the content and to leave that to them. Even before that, I never used to know how to edit. It was Shiro who was editing. So she's throwing this question to me because she knows I don't know.
No, I think I hear them say Premiere Pro.
Yeah, Premiere Pro.
That's what I used when I was starting out, and Final Cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So then now you've made it's edited, then it's uploaded.
Yeah.
You do the premieres and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
You premiere it on YouTube, then now you go on your other social media platforms and tell people we have uploaded this video at this time.
Yes.
You can do that for a while, but then now people start getting the hang of it. So on that Thursday, they're waiting for you on YouTube. So by the time you're uploading, there are already people who know that it's gonna happen. So the way you push even becomes a bit less tedious, because now it's a culture. It's like when people know church starts at 7 to 10 or 11 to 1. They don't need to be reminded all the time. They have formed that culture and they know about it very well. So that's how we do it.
How do you ensure that your content is exciting and it keeps resonating with your target audience? And how do you even know your target audience?
So the target audience is what I said. You go to the back end. YouTube gives you the statistics. It tells you people are watching from Kiambu. The male is this percentage. The female is this percentage. The age, everything. It gives you that. So you know the target audience.
Okay.
The hardest part of this whole thing that people don't talk about is how to keep the content fresh. Yes. Because people are interesting. They can be interested in your content for the first, let's say, 20 videos. And after that, they just fall off. They are just not interested in what you're doing anymore. You have not done anything wrong. Maybe it's just time for you to pivot. And so one of the things that you will need to do, it's like business, which it is business. You will need to be reevaluating where you're going, and you try and sneak in different segments into the product, so that by the time they get bored with this one has already taken off. But then you can also introduce one that is still boring to them, so you still remove it. So it's a game of always trying to stay fresh and relevant with your audience. And that's the hardest part of the job, actually. Blowing up is not as hard, because eventually people will get to know about your video. Even when you ask yourself, there are people who you knew during COVID season and you would watch their content, but you no longer watch it right now because it's not relevant to you anymore. And that's the hardest part of this whole industry.
Somebody's actually asking you, hey Ben, is it not so tedious to manage all these social media platforms?
No, it's not tedious. It's because I enjoy doing it. It's like asking a person who has like 10 lorries that sell sand somewhere, you know. That guy can sit down and make sure he knows what time that lorry left the pickup point to the delivery point. He knows how many there are. He knows which one needs to be serviced. He knows the drivers by their names.
And you've grown with it.
And you've grown with it. So it's the same thing. And that's why I started by saying it has to be something you love. Because it will require a lot of that. So for me, to manage Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that is very, very, very easy for me. I actually enjoy doing it. Sometimes I don't see it as work. I feel like I'm just having fun, but I'm working. Yeah.
We have a lot of engagement from the viewers, so today allow me to just flow with what the viewers want to ask. Somebody is asking, when promoting businesses and services, which platform is the best? I heard that Facebook is the best, but Gen Z wamekwama TikTok.
So it's about knowing which product you're selling and where your target audience is. If you're targeting a Gen Z audience, then you need to focus on growing your TikTok, because that's where they are. If you're targeting an older audience, then maybe Facebook would be the best place for you to go. If you're looking for, maybe as Ben was saying, Twitter and you're a good writer and maybe something that requires a lot of prose, then maybe Twitter would be. So it's really to know who are you targeting as a business, which product are you selling, where are the people who you're selling to, where are they on social media.
And do you help people do that? The businesses, at least?
Yeah, at least we found a way, like even now with the organizations that we work with or the brands that we work with, once we have that initial meeting, we find if there are points of synergy. Because like for me, and I think even for Ben, Instagram is a really big platform for us. So the organizations that we'll tend to work with are the ones who want to target people who are on Instagram.
Maybe what you didn't tell viewers is that you also help people in marketing.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk about that briefly.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody is interested on how do you get
to
how can they market your business? They can do that.
Yeah. So essentially it's just getting the word out about your product to our audience. So essentially it could be, we've worked with a number of organizations and brands who they find their points of synergy either in the way we present our content or in the audience that we capture. And so they'll be like, hey, we have this product, would you help us push it to your audience? And essentially that's what happens. Yeah.
Somebody is asking, hey, Dr. Mungai, please ask they've called you the Cycos. I know you call yourself Bell Cyco.
The karaoke.
The karaoke.
Yeah.
If they do ads, maybe that's what you're answering.
Yeah.
Do they pay for their posts the way you pay Instagram to boost your post, or Facebook and YouTube? These are questions from Ariot.
Yes, we do. We do advertising. We do a lot. In fact, that's one of our major revenue earners. But then also we try and work with brands or companies that also align with our values. So for example, we don't promote alcohol. Even when alcoholic brands have very good money. They come with the best offers, but we don't do alcohol at all. We also don't do betting. Because you see, also at the end of the day, you don't want to lose believability with your audience. Your audience will only buy. Wanjiru is saying trust is a currency. So your people will only buy something if they believe in you, if they believe that you stand by what you say. That's the only way they will believe it. So if you also get to a place where you're just selling everything for the sake of selling, now in our industry that becomes detrimental to you. Yeah.
And what do you have to say about this?
Well, I'm excited that he comes up with now the values, because that is something we advocate for in the Kingdom Business Network. Because when you look at the scriptures, they say, because do not be conformed
to the
standards of this world, but be transformed, renew your mind, things like that. So there's always going to be that a temptation. You've talked about alcohol brands coming in with big, money, and because you have the audience, someone is hungry for money, you compromise, things like that. I love the fact that you guys have been consistent, you have your values, you have this, you call it assertiveness, you don't want to deviate from the purpose. And I'm excited as in our generations, not very many millennials were into social media. Our generations before, they talked evil about social media. But now we are looking at it, people like you, the karaokes, the Christians, you know, you are making it big in the social media space, you know. So I'm excited, and looking at it, Doctor, I love the fact that these guys have now painted a bigger perspective for me, that sometimes it's not about the numbers when you're starting, because you could even attract brands to advertise with you when you have the right content. You know, you have the right content, you are committed. We have always talked about being diligent on this program, being diligent, being intentional. So I'm looking at it that you can even, before you get monetized or things like that, you can attract brands, people who can, you know, pick their interest in what you are selling, and then they even promote you. You even get the money to do the promotion and things like that. It's a very exciting conversation. Maybe some of the things I want you guys to address is there are people who have just joined social media and they're frustrated and they're trying to make money. So they think just posting is enough. So I'll pose it to you. Is posting enough in marketing? Should I just post my content and let it grow organically? What is really marketing in social media? Something like that.
I'd even say, when you're joining this space, please remove money from your mind. Like, to be very honest, it's like saying you want to be a footballer for the money, or you want to be a musician for the money. You know, the money comes sometimes. The money will come, but that should not be the initial goal. If you do that for the money, you will be disappointed, because growth is slow, growth takes time, and it just requires a lot of things. So let money be a secondary factor that comes in later. You have to join it for something that you really, really love. Otherwise, you will be disappointed. In fact, what we advise people is that when you're starting off, get a job that supports the vision. So you are working, then you get time to create, to also grow your content. Otherwise, you'll be very frustrated.
Our viewers are really engaging us. Thank you very much. Send those questions to the karaokes.
Yes.
Not the Cycos, the karaokes. Katarina, we hear you loud and clear. And Katarina is asking, can I pay someone else to do my work? Will this interfere with how my audience connects with me?
Can I pay someone else to do my work? As I've said, I think at the end, we need to be cognizant that social media is not really a shortcut. At the end of the screen is another human being, and they are able to notice. You're able to notice when you watch a video that someone is being fake, someone is just paid to do this job, someone is just out here for clout. So you need to be careful of all those things. So I don't think it's as easy as just paying somebody else. You have to be cognizant of the fact that at the end, at the other side of that screen is a human being also. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wanjiru from Rongai, we hear you loud and clear. Question number one, how do content creators strike a balance between creating authentic, engaging content and integrating monetization efforts?
Oh, that's a good one. That's the hard part of it. So it's for you to understand that whatever you want to sell or how you make money doesn't make you lose the original vision of the channel. Because now if you start losing that and focus more on the money, because the money comes, and the money can now start confusing you. When you start focusing on the money, you lose on the authenticity, and then eventually you will lose on the fans. So that means the money will also stop coming. So you have to be very strict in striking a balance and seeing how do you add this to whatever you do. And that's why we also went back to whatever you're pushing has to be something with the values that you stand for, so that it can be more authentic and organic and more believable.
Okay. The second question is again from Wanjiru, and is asking, what are some pitfalls to avoid when incorporating sponsored content or advertisement into social media posts?
I'd say the same thing. It has to stand with your values. It has to fall within this. It has to fall in line with this, with what you believe in as a person. And you know, we are Christians. And for me, I really get encouraged when I look at somebody like Daniel, who worked in a Babylonian system, was a very good guy. He was very sharp. But being sharp and succeeding in a space where there are no Christians doesn't mean you need to bow down to the pressures that are there. Because the more firm you stand, the more you attract God's presence over your life, and the more powerful your content is. So you need to be very careful about who you allow into your space, and not just to fall for the money because it's lucrative. Yeah.
Okay. So now, what are the biggest challenges that you faced as a YouTuber, and how did you overcome them?
I think, notably, starting out, of course, was difficult. We started 9 years ago. We really didn't understand what was happening. You don't know how you'll make money. It's just a very, very foreign concept, even to yourself. So I think navigating that was really difficult. But I think how we overcame that is just every day showing up, every day showing up. If God has placed something in your heart, He goes before you and He makes you prosperous. So I think that's the most notable challenge when we were starting out. For you?
The challenges now have become different, and they're also in an interesting way. For example, also when you introduce something and every other creator also follows to do the same thing, you know, that sometimes is a challenge. But it's like the nature of Kenyan business. You will start a business here today, and then somebody across the road will start the same. They will open the same hardware, probably the same colors as you. They just change a letter. And sometimes that used to piss me off or bother me. But then I realized I'm literally the light. I'm God's child, you know. The ideas I have are divine. So if they copy, it's only flattering that they do that. So it's for me to keep telling God to keep refreshing and keep advancing me so that we keep moving somewhere. We keep moving ahead. In retrospect, you see that as some form of ministry, because they're copying what you're doing. So you just need to be directing them to your God. So the copying is very, very common in this space, and you can't stop people. You can't go and tell people that this is my idea, stop doing it. There's nothing like that. So you have to stay on toes all the time.
So that leads me to an interesting question. Do you have something like now competing against one another?
Yeah.
Does it happen? Might be you don't do it, but is it there in the industry?
It's
and what form does it take, and how does it manifest itself?
People will do the same thing that you're doing. We started going to universities to speak to our fans, and we can see that is taking root in the industry, and that's not. We can't say that that's our idea. That's an initiative open up for everyone. But then the competition is always there. And if you don't meet the needs of your people, they will go to that person who meets their needs. So you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful so that you meet the needs of your audience.
Yeah, but I'll add and say that in as much as there's competition in our industry, we like to focus on collaboration. That's why we'll have different creators come on board, because we can achieve more when we come together, other than when we pit ourselves against each other. So our platform is really huge on collaboration, and we are happy that all those creators who've come on board and shared their audiences with us, and we've shared our audiences with them. It's been amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you stay updated with the latest trends in the industry, and how do you incorporate them into your content?
Sure.
I think doing a lot of research really helps. Also listening to what the audience wants, having your ear, and your audience is constantly talking to you. If they're an engaged audience, they're telling you what they like, what they enjoyed, what they didn't like, what they didn't enjoy. Also, we try and keep up with all the social media, even though we are not actively creating content for those platforms. But you just want to monitor the industry and see what people are saying, what people are talking about, what are people into right now, so that you could be able to also feed their needs without compromising on your content.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Now we have Caroline again writing to us from Gara. Thank you very much, Caroline. Karen says, I do TikTok content, but I haven't gotten gigs yet. What are some key steps content creators like me can take to differentiate themselves and attract sponsors or partnerships on TikTok?
Wow.
How can she attract sponsors?
Sponsors and
what are some key steps content creators like me can take to differentiate themselves and attract sponsors?
I think she just needs to continue growing her community and to make her community more vibrant. So for example, you can have days where she goes live with her audience to bigger creators, you are pushed to do events. So you organize an event and your people who follow you come show up for that event. But if you are not yet there at a point of event, you need to think of ways how like you can be going live a lot so that you can have your audience just stay more vibrant and understand all that stuff. Yeah. Then eventually somebody somewhere will spot you. But then also you can also start sending proposals to some of these organizations or some of these brands. You can tell them, you can give them an idea, tell them, hey, I would love to do this for you. Sometimes it's not necessarily for money. You can even start doing it for free. But that is just to position you, because people eventually, even organizations, they like working with somebody who they have seen work with another organization. There is believability. So you can start even doing it for free for a while. And then now you'll notice now they will just come to you and say, oh, we saw you did this and that for this other person. Maybe it's time for us to work together. Yeah.
Okay. Enoch, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I am really excited about this conversation, and I feel like we'll have to stop this because now you are really forming a certain idea in me that it's all about content. Right now, it's all about content, and I feel like we need more time to engage the karaokes to give us more ideas on how someone can, start, how an idea can come up. You begin framing your content, and then the consistency bit, because there are always challenges along the way. There are always challenges. Maybe we need that confidence, some of the people we can look up to, so that we can master the industry of content creation, because it is really a currency. I remember engaging with you guys someday, and Cyco made the statement, and I was like there is oil in Libya, content can be our thing here in Kenya or Africa, something like that. So if we focus on content and how best we can bring it out, we can generate so much revenue.
One last question before we start to wind up. Have you ever received a response or a feedback from a fan or somebody who watches you and it significantly impacted the direction you are taking?
Wow. Significantly impacted.
Significantly changed the way we're doing. No, but there's some that, like for example, we could be planning something on the as an internal team. So with the production team, there's something we're planning, and then somebody just randomly shares, hey, maybe you guys could do this, and it's exactly what you guys are planning, and this is somebody you totally don't know, and then when you get like 3 people saying the same thing,
you feel like it's confirming.
It's for us, it's like, okay, maybe God is telling us we need to take this direction, because it's already something we were planning on the inside. But for somebody to say something that significantly changes what we do, no, we try and really pray through our direction and think through it, so that by the time we are starting it, we are sure that this is where God wants us to go. So no matter what anyone says, no matter what they think, that's on them. They will catch up with us later. And I feel like that's what is called a pioneering spirit, which it really makes you depend on God more, because God is the one who, it's like the sons of Issachar. He makes you understand the seasons that you're in, and this is both in church, both in business, both at the marketplace, emotionally, and all that stuff.
Thank you very much, the karaokes.
Thank you.
And as we close, I would want you to take a minute or so and speak to that viewer who is listening to you, and give him a word of inspiration and how he can move into this social media space and can start with the
ladies first.
Okay.
We started the show by saying ladies first.
I think for me, I will say go for it. I think if God has placed something in your heart, He has gone before you. And as I said, He has given you victory. So do not fear, do not be afraid. There's good money to be made in this industry. If you're just consistent, if you just brand yourself the right way, you're going to make good money.
Brand yourself the right way.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
If you have a passion for something and God has put it in you to do something, don't be like the person who was given the talent and they went and hid it, and they told the master that they were scared. Don't be that person who's scared, because where God leads you, He provides for you. So go out there, don't be afraid to look funny, you know, because that's one of the biggest fears that human beings averagely just have. It's all of us. So you just have to be okay with all these things, and God will give you strength.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Don't be afraid to look funny.
Don't be afraid to look funny.
Wonderful, yeah. Enoch, what do you have to say to the viewer?
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to appreciate the karaokes. I call them the Cycos. They have really empowered us so much. Thank you, Doc. I am very energetic, and I just want to let the youth to just venture, you know. These people have gone the way. They have showed us how we can also achieve this. Social media is really huge. It is broad. There is so much we can make. It's all about identifying your talent. It's all about identifying what you can do and then adding value to it. That is how you're going to attract a lot of audience. You're going to attract so much revenue. And as believers, whatever we do, God has put a mark on us. There is a blessing that is attached as long as we start. It's all about starting. Venture. Get that smartphone, get that camera, you know, get that content right, and you're going to blow. This year is for breaking all barriers. Yes.
So thank you very much, Enoch. Thank you very much, the karaoke. This has been very wonderful discussion, eye-opening, and I believe a lot of our viewers have benefited a lot. This is a space in which even the government is encouraging the young people to venture into and try and make money online through the internet. So these are some of the things that you can do. So please remember, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. It will help somebody. And with that, may God bless you very much. Until we meet next time, God bless you.